we're just getting started. So, do we have any public comments?
Thank you, bro.
Nope. Okay, great. Okay, on to item number 1, the consideration and possible action on approval of the September 9th, 2024 board meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second, Mr. Chairman.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. And now item number 2, the general manager's report.
Yes, we're going to have today the chemical optimization and financial report by Mr. Galvan, and also the financial will be presented, is by Monica Garza, and she will be also then followed by Mr. Mariscal for the drought update. I also wanted to inform you all that we have submitted for additional grants, and we can do a more in-depth presentation on SRWA. I guess Monica, you've already covered that under your report, what we submitted this morning, and also the new well and increased drought resiliency and groundwater reliability under the Water Smart Drought Response Program.
Okay.
So we'll start with operations.
Good afternoon, Mr. President, members of the board. My name is Jacob Galvan. I'll be presenting the production distribution report for the month ended August 31st, 2024. Tab 2 of the board binder, we have the SRWA water distribution summary and true-up estimate. On column C, we have the SRWA total distribution. The year-to-date was 2,318.071 million gallons for a daily average of 6.899 million gallons per day. On column F, we have the distribution for VPV. The year-to-date was 2,037.563 million gallons for a daily average of 6.064 million gallons per day. On column G, we have the distribution for Valley Mud number 2. The year-to-date was 56.875 million gallons for a daily average of 0.169 million gallons. On column H, we have the distribution for Los Fresnos. The year-to-date was 170.317 million gallons for a daily average of 0.507 million gallons per day. On column I, we have the allocation credit for B&D, which was 48.68 million gallons for a daily average of 0.145 million gallons per day. And on column J, we have the credit for Indian Lake. The year-to-date was 4.636 million gallons for a daily average of 0.14 million gallons per day. Below, we have the true-up estimate, where VPV is under by 116.16 million gallons. Valley Mud number 2 is under by 1.31 million gallons. And the City of Los Fresnos is over by 117.46 million gallons. On the next page, we have the production distribution report for the month of August. On the third column from the left, we have the total water produced, which was 212.168 million gallons for a daily average of 6.844 million gallons. On the column on the far right, on the first column on the far right, we have total water distributed, which was 209.058 million gallons for a daily average of 6.744 million gallons. Below, we have the chemical consumption cost, which was $80,579.36, and the electrical consumption cost was $121,454.88. On this page, we have the events that reduce water production. And on August 25th, there was an electrical power outage at our facility, and we had communication issues at the well field for a total downtime of 4 hours. On this page, we have the iron, manganese, and arsenic results. And for the month of August, there were no chemical dosage changes. And all the water plant parameters were well below the SRWA goals. Here we have a graph just illustrating the manganese levels from month to month. You can see we're at 10% blend. On this graph, we have arsenic results from month to month with a chlorine dioxide dosage at 0.3 and the ferric was at a 1.0 dosage.
So that's interesting because it's continuously dropping. Yeah. Or we're, sorry, continuously dropping the ferric. And yeah, there doesn't seem to be much of, NCLO2, I guess, is pretty stable.
Mm-hmm.
But there doesn't seem to be much of a correlation. We may need to add another dimension to these graphs and include the wells that we're pumping out of. We can talk about that later. Okay, cool.
Like which wells you want, which wells were on at the time?
Yeah, yeah, and just so we can start to understand that a little bit more.
Okay. Here we have a graph comparing water production distribution for year 2023 and 2024. And you can see for the past 2 months, there's been a little bit of less water demand than the prior year, or the previous year. On this page, we have a graph comparing the 3 water plants for Bronzo, and SRWA contributed with 28.6% of the city's water demand. That's all I have. If there are any other questions or comments? Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. President, members of the board. Monica Cavazos, Director of Finance. And I'll be presenting the financials, the year-to-date numbers as of August 31st, 2024, focusing on the far right column. You'll see that we had operating revenues from member assessments of $7,160,613. We then back out our operating expenses, which were a total of $5,358,118, which left us operating income of $1,802,495. We then have our non-operating expenses. Looking at line 18, net non-operating expenses of $40,269 left us income before capital contributions of $1,762,226. With no capital contributions, that gave us a change in net position of $1,762,226. When added to the net position at the beginning of the year of $22,764,917, gives us a net position at the end of the period of $24,527,143. The subsequent pages are details by account, showing the budgets and the year-to-date actuals. If anybody has questions on any of the specific accounts, this is again just informational data for you all, some of by account, if you have any specific questions on any of that. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Nothing but good news, right?
Good afternoon, Mr. President, members of the board. René Mariscal, Division Manager for Water Resources, Conservation and Compliance. I'll be providing a brief update, drought update. As of September 28th, 2024, Falcon and Amistad stood at 20.8% storage capacity. That's down from 21.4% last year this time. We still remain in stage 2. You can see the trend here. It's a slight uptick as a result of the recent rains. Most of the rain we saw here locally. A little bit in Amistad, specifically this last weekend, but nevertheless, it's just a slight uptick. But keep in mind, we still remain, at historic lows. You see the last 3 readings there. You see the slight increase. Again, that for the most part, that was September, and we'll see what October brings. Today, we're actually at 20.9%. The unofficial number, we're at 20.9% U.S. combined storage. So just a slight uptick from this last reading. For the National Weather Service, just outlook for the next several months. Falcon and Amistad remained at historic lows at the end of September. Normal to slightly warmer than normal conditions expected for the next 3 months. Not enough flows, not expecting enough inflows from the Mexican and international reservoirs that serve our watershed. And our combined share at Amistad and Falcon likely to continue below stage 2. Not included in here was precipitation, which is drier than normal conditions over the next several months, is what it's expected. Do I have any questions? Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, even though that was not good news. Okay, item number 3, the consideration and possible action to extend the contract for the annual supply of reverse osmosis membrane scale inhibitor and cleaners.
Good afternoon, Mr. President, members of the board, Jose Armando Garza. The San Luis Regional Water Authority uses a scale inhibitor and membrane cleaners to improve the operation of the reverse osmosis membrane process and extend the life cycle of membranes. The scale inhibitor reduces precipitation of iron, silica, and calcium scaling through the membranes. Our membranes cleaners are used to remove pollens and restore performance of membranes. These chemicals are purchased annually, and the curing contract with Amaya Solutions, or AWC, is scheduled to expire on October 31st, 2024. The Board of Directors approved the curing contract for these chemicals on November 6, 2023, for a contract period of 12 months. The contract has the option to renew annually for an additional 2 one-year periods, if services and prices are satisfactory. I believe they're satisfactory because they kept the same price per pound as last year. The estimated usage and annual cost for the anti-scalant and cleaners during this period are as follows. For the anti-scalant, it's for a total of $72,800. For the RO cleaner AWC C234, which is a low pH cleaner, that's for a total of $30,358 with 40 cents. And the RO cleaner AWC C237, that's a high pH cleaner, and that's for a total of $34,985 with 60 cents. The term of the contract for the second year will be from November 1st, 2024 to October 31st, 2025 for a total of $138,000 with $44. This is the second year of a possible 3-year contract. SRWA staff recommends extending the awarded annual contract for scale inhibitor and narrow cleaners to Amaya Solutions Inc. of Tampa, Florida, for a total contract amount not to exceed $138,144.
Does anybody have questions?
I do have a question. I remember that when I started, and correct me if I'm wrong, we had just changed to another company about the membranes, and there were being some issues with those membranes because they were not providing it was a decrease on the water because of issues with the membranes.
I believe you're talking about something, yeah. a few years back, we tried, at this time, we tried 2 different types of membrane, the hydronautic and the tori. We experienced that the tori membrane was not lasting. It was increasing the salt passage a lot faster than the hydronautic. And basically now we got rid of those membranes, and now we're on hydronautics. But still, we have like 3 trains with old membranes, which are like 10, 12 years old. And then the rest of the 5 membranes, they're like 3 years old.
And those are supposed to change to the new ones.
We already did. Yeah, we're gonna change them, and we're gonna try to get the hydronautics.
Have you guys noticed a change in the amount of servicing you have to do as we drop some of the chemical dosing?
No, although I remember seeing that graph that Jacob just saw that TDS, the arsenic, was increasing for a bit. Besides that, maybe a higher well with higher arsenic levels being in operation, the other factor can be those older membranes. Usually older membranes have a higher passage of like arsenic, and that might be the reason why we saw an increase. We're still way below the MCL, but that could have been a reason.
Great. Have you had any delivery issues with this company or any other problems?
No, we've been,
They've
yeah.
supplied everything, they're keeping the prices the same? Okay.
Yeah.
So, with that in mind, I believe you read the action, right?
Yes.
Move to accept the extended warrant, contract for 1 year.
Sounds great. Do we have
Second motion.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you.
Passes. Thank you. And now we get to go to the last item, which is discussion on the date, time of the next board meeting.
So our next SRWA board meeting is scheduled for November the 4th. Your packet knows the PD board meeting on the 11th, but if you recall at the last PD board meeting, we changed it to the 14th, so we're in the process of Tuesday, right?
Okay.
We're coming on that, so that just had an incorrect date on there.
Because the 11th was a holiday.
Correct.
Right.
DV offices will be closed, of course. We're a 24/7 operation, so operations continue to be scheduled as needed for those offices included here.
Okay, so if that looks good, we don't need to vote on that. So, okay. Well then, does anybody have anything they want to mention or bring up? Okay, if not, I will adjourn the meeting. I don't know what time it is, but
I'll second.
12:18.
12:18. Oh, okay, 12. Oh, at the very top, yeah. Okay, I was looking on the screen. So, I guess I was the one who said it. You seconded it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Efficient.
I'll get you with your, I don't want you to make my friend. Because I know how my daughter did and she was arrested, and you're not even supposed to be out, you probably have to meet it.
Well, I mean, it is, but that's okay. What kind of food? I don't know about you carry it.
Let me see.
Good.
Yeah, it's